Krishna, Namaham Bhajami.
Hare Krishna, welcome to a special talk on subtle forms of violence with Her Grace, Sukhavaha Devi Dasi, presented as a part of the 16 Days of Activism campaign for Safe Families, Strong Communities by the ISKCON Vaishnavi Ministry. Sukhavaha Devi Dasi is an interfaith minister, life coach, and author, amongst many other wonderful things. She integrates psychological principles with spiritual practice to promote compassion and self-awareness. She is the author of Revealing the Heart, the Practice of Compassion, Finding the Gap, Entering the Gap, What to Do About Sue. Sukhavaha Prabhu is the founder of A Heart Connection, an organization that offers coaching and support for spiritual growth. Her teachings focus on using compassion to overcome obstacles in spiritual practice and to cultivate deeper relationships. She is also a frequent speaker on topics such as compassionate communication, emotional healing, and building healthy organizations. Prabhu, thank you very much for being here today in spite of your extremely busy schedule. I can only say this is due to your caring disposition.
Well, thank you for inviting me, and it's my pleasure to be here. I like to talk.
Thank you. Prabhu, every year we speak about the effects of violence in all of its forms, yet it often feels as though many people do not notice or choose not to notice or simply just close their eyes and pretend it doesn't exist, or simply because we do not know how to identify violence. So can you define subtle or covert forms of violence?
Yeah, well, the main word I would like to use here is the word shame. And we don't often talk about this word, but it's very prevalent in our world, and it's prevalent in our movement. If you look in Bhagavad Gita, there's a quotation that says, "For a man, dishonor is worse than death." So dishonor is like shaming, shaming. And so a lot of times in our cultures and in our families, our parents are looking for us to look good, because if their kids look good, if we kids look good, then the parents look good. Oh, look at my kids, look at my kids. It's a reflection of them. And so oftentimes our parents are sometimes hard on us to be good, to produce results, and to get good grades. Now, part of that is motivated by their love for us, that they do want us to succeed and not have to suffer in life. And part of it is motivated because in this material world, the external, how you look externally, people judge you by how you look and act externally. And we very rarely look at the internal world. And someone who may look very confident may actually be very insecure. And they've compensated for that insecurity by producing results and looking very secure. And sometimes people who seem to be humble just have a low self-worth and are used to putting themselves down because they were maybe treated that way when they were young. So this shame takes many forms and shapes, and when it continues, it can take a toll on our physical health. It takes a toll on our relationships, because if I'm used to being hard on myself and pushing myself, now I'm coming to the spiritual path and it's like, come on, what are you doing? And then I'll push other people and I'll even shame them You know, it's like, well, Prabhupada said to do this. What's wrong with you? Why can't you do this? And I may not be doing it. So this shame is prevalent in our whole world. And sometimes we use even scripture, or I'll say misuse scripture, to diminish people's experiences, to diminish people in general, and to maybe inadvertently, but unconsciously for sure, to shame them into doing them what we think they should do or what we want them to do. And and so this lives inside of us, the shame. It's so shameful that we can't even say we have shame, because to just even say I have shameful is shameful.
So it's kind of a guilt. It builds up a guilt, and you're feeling guilty because I'm unable to do something, or in this kind of like,
I use the word, I distinguish guilt and shame. Guilt is a little pinch. Guilt is like a pinch, like, oh, that wasn't a nice thing that you said. And then, you know, maybe saying, oh, sorry, I got a little, you know, over the top there. I'm sorry for the way I spoke to you. That's guilt. Shame is, I can't believe I said that. I'm so stupid that I said that. Why did I say that? Oh my gosh, what that person's going to think? What is everybody else going to think who heard me say that? But then I'm so embarrassed that I even said it that I can't even admit or say I'm sorry that I said it, because then that would be more shame. And I am a shameful person. So shame just like really kind of captivates us and controls our behavior. And when I'm feeling shame and I'm beating myself up inside, I may treat others in the same way and say things that are harsh because I'm frustrated inside of myself. And then it's like a hot potato. It's my pain. I just pass it around to other people, and then it perpetuates shame. So, you know, that's subtle violence, and it comes out in words. It can come out in actions, and it you know, but when it manifests more on the gross level, we can generally see it. But the words that the words that people say and their tone of voice, if it's hurting us, it could be subtle violence. Now, some people are also very sensitive, which there's nothing wrong with being very sensitive. However, very sensitive people have to have more space from others because they get hurt just by what others are thinking. They can feel what other people are thinking, even if they don't say it. So people who have identified themselves as sensitive need to be even more protective of their space and create more boundaries in order to not be hurt or feel violated. Does that make sense?
yes, there will be like but how can somebody be like assuming, right? I'm very sensitive, but how can I assume that somebody's thinking what I'm thinking?
We don't assume.
Okay.
And generally people, when they're sensitive, they start to get to understand that they're sensitive, you know,
Okay.
or if they're getting hurt a lot, you know, they can understand, oh, maybe I'm sensitive. And we do have to understand, you know, and maybe I'm tolerant because maybe I was treated that way when I was a child. And so now I have no boundaries. And so it doesn't faze me when someone yells at me because there was yelling in my family all the time. So it's normal. And so then I start yelling at people, and people might say, you're yelling. And I'm like, I'm not yelling. What are you talking about? This is the way I talk. This is normal. What's wrong with you? Why can't you take it? So we don't understand even how we're behaving because we think it's normal because that's what we grew up with.
So something could trigger, and sometimes we ourselves are responding that without actually knowing that. we are,
Yes, yes,
you
yes. And
know,
so being
going for the same thing.
self-aware is so important. And then being aware of how we're feeling, well, that hurts. And can I say, I'm feeling hurt? Is
Mhm.
there another way you could say that?
Hmm.
And then if
So
they say,
what indicators? Okay, go ahead,
oh,
sorry.
no, go ahead.
So yeah, because this, I mean, it's tough, you know, with someone who is a little bit more oversensitive,
Yes,
uh, you know.
yes, yeah,
So
yeah.
what indicators can help distinguish between the normal conflict and from emotional or violent behavior, right? Like
Well,
sometimes we said, well, it was just an argument,
yeah, yeah,
simple
yeah.
argument to something that is.
Well, if I'm feeling hurt, I need to take responsibility for myself and move away from a situation. I need to tend to myself. I can't expect everybody to tend to me, but I do need to tend to myself. And if people become self-aware and they can set boundaries, then there's less chance for that person getting violated or feeling that they say, I'm going to have to, I'm going to have to excuse myself. I'm feeling a little overwhelmed right now. And then they excuse themselves. Or they're able to say, I'm not going to be able to do that. That's too much for me. And even if somebody doesn't understand that that's too much, I can express my own feelings and my own needs. When we take personal responsibility, we can manage. We can't necessarily change the world. We can't necessarily change how other people behave or even treat us. We can move ourselves away, even when we're just feeling it just inside. It doesn't have to become a huge act of violence for me to finally say something. I can just say, I need to move away. Does that make sense?
Yes, and
If
what to
we
do
can
in
take,
situations
go ahead.
when the person is not able to move away and has to endure, you know, that the nagging and the sometimes manipulation that happens and
Then they need to
the
talk to
mental
somebody.
stress.
Then they need to talk to someone who can sit with them and hear them and help them untangle their situation and see what they can do in that situation. If it's a marriage situation, what can you do? Can you go for a walk? Can you, what can you do? If you're in a temple, can you actually handle living in the temple situation? Is this too much for you, actually? What are your other options? So then reaching out to someone who can hear your distress and can help you to work it out, even when it's on a subtle level. And if we would start working on things when they were on a subtle level, we might be able to prevent a lot more physical violence.
So sometimes again we hear that well, this was just all marriages, all couples have issues, all couples
Yeah.
have
Well,
conflicts and
yeah.
things. And yes,
Yeah.
that's true.
Yes.
So when do we
Yes.
move and when is a normal it's a normal situation, it's a normal argument and you know and something that is an attempt to or a chronic criticism or humiliation or even physical, not only physical violence, because sometimes physical what you can note, but emotional, economic, there are different kinds of violence that we cannot see.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing you so happy all the time. I don't think that there's anything wrong. What's wrong or what's wrong with you? And sometimes we tend to tell them, you know, that you have to, you know, seek help because there must be something wrong with you. Not you seem very happy. You know, your husband seems very happy, but we do not know what's behind the curtains, right?
Yes. Yes. So, being able to be self-aware, having a journal, being able to write down that hurt, when that was said, that hurt, just being able to express it and write it down somewhere. And then, if it keeps happening regularly, then maybe I can seek out like somebody to hear me and help me to sort it out, not the person who I'm feeling is giving that person would not probably be able to understand, but someone outside of the situation who can help me to work through and unentangle myself and understand the situation from a better place. And if we had safe places like that where people can go and debrief and express themselves, you know, then we could get clarity before it escalates and creates more damage for, you know, for people. Yeah.
That's the key before it escalates. And there are certain cultures that you're supposed to keep quiet. You're not
Yes.
supposed to raise your voice
Yes.
because
Yes.
that's the way they are being raised. And I
Yes.
know that Latin America, Hispanic culture is like that too. And you're
And
supposed to have
women,
the right to remain quiet.
and women should be seen and not heard, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So journaling, writing things down in a journal can help us to get things out and even see things. It's like, wow, that's like happening 5 times a day. Wow, that's a lot. You know, maybe I need some support with this. Writing it down, it's a wonderful way to express things that we cannot say in the situation or in the moment. Writing our thoughts and our feelings on a piece of paper or a journal is even better. And then having the record and just looking at it and reading it gives us a lot of perspective that we can, that we can observe after the fact. Because in the moment, we may not be able to observe it, but if we write it down and then read it and think about it and become aware about it, that's
kind of bloating, right?
That's a place you can always express on a piece of paper in a journal. Journals are great.
Safe place to unload.
Yep. Safe and free.
True. So
I mean,
in what ways can experiences of violence, any kind of violence, shape a person's emotional, psychological, and even physical well-being? Because many times it's like, okay, just calling for attention without really understanding that the root might be somewhere else.
yes. So say your question one more time, the beginning of the question.
So in what ways can experiences of any kinds of violence shape a person's emotional, psychological, and even physical well-being?
So violence, whether psychological, emotional, verbal, physical, violence feels to the body like an attack. And so the body has automatic systems to protect itself. Fight, which in many cultures we're not allowed to do. Argue back. Fight. Flight. Let me just get out of here. And flight could be just like checking out, like, freeze, not saying anything, sitting there, but absorbing it, taking it in. And fawning is like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I won't do it again. I'm sorry, I'm sorry. So when we can notice ourselves and what is our favorite defense mechanisms, we all have them. If we notice ourselves saying, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry so much, that's a protective mechanism. That might be an indication that we feel a lot that we're being attacked, or we're afraid of being attacked because we've been attacked so much in the past. So paying attention, if I'm just freezing and I can't speak, noticing, yeah, I'm tightening up. Where am I holding that in my body? Shoulders, my stomach. Let me write about this. Let me write this down. Let me unfreeze and write it down. Flight. Am I distracting myself? Am I on my phone? Am I on my social media all day long, just distracting myself from, the pain. And then, it's like, I don't want to be here just distracting myself, going into an imaginary world, or, and then fighting, of course, is more obvious, because then we'll be arguing back, and then it usually escalates the situation. So what am I
Sometimes-
doing? What am I
Yeah.
doing? What's my favorite coping mechanism? And how much am I using that? And if I have to use my coping mechanisms multiple times in a day, it means my body is somehow feeling attacked.
Sometimes
Defending.
we hear the expression like, I'm feeling numb.
That's a feeling. That's
Feeling
the
numb.
freeze.
I feel like I don't have any tears left. I'm just numb.
That's the freeze. That's the freezing. That's just like, I don't know what to do. And numbing is a feeling, actually. Numbing is like we're giving ourselves an anesthesia to block the pain. And so we just numb it out. And distracting and numbing, they sometimes go together too. Like, I'm just gonna, numb. I'm just gonna numb myself by entertaining myself, something like that. So numb is a feeling, and that will give us a good indication. Oh, I keep numbing myself. I keep eating. I'm keeping eating. I'm addicted to eating. It's a way that we numb our pain. We put on insulation, like we're putting on weight because we're trying to protect ourselves. Even physically, we're trying to, it's all unconscious, but it's there. It's there. So yeah. So just noticing, what am I doing? When am I doing that? Why am I doing that?
Okay, journal, keep a journal.
Journal. Yeah.
So how can someone who has experienced violence get help?
Well, first of all, they have to admit that they need help and that they can't manage it themselves. Because a lot of people just tolerate. They don't want to make waves. They don't want the family to look shameful. They don't want to expose their problems to the world, because then they're going to look shameful. And this is why shame keeps people stuck in violence. I don't want to tell everybody, that my husband does this or whatever, because then I'll shame him. And then if he finds out, then I'm going to get hurt more, or, our family's going to look so bad. I'm going to look so stupid, whatever. The shame prevents us from reaching out. And so that's why shame is it's a very subtle way that we harm ourselves or keep ourselves in harm's way. And that's why shame needs to be distinguished. Am I feeling shame? What am I afraid of? Who can I be vulnerable with? Write it down. Even ask yourself, who could I reach out to that might help me, that might, be able to hear me and give me some direction? Do I need therapy? And if I get therapy and I get enough therapy, maybe the therapist can also direct me,
It's incredible how we started with shame and actually we ended up with shame. And it's so important. So key word, because that's so true. Sometimes feeling shame that I'm not being tolerant enough, because
Exactly.
I'm supposed to be tolerant. The scripture is telling, or everybody's telling me I'm supposed to be strong, that women are supposed to be like this. And it's like job description,
Yes.
from moms. This is your job description. From your wife, this is your job. And
Yes, you should be chaste.
but
Don't talk
everybody's
back.
forgetting that we are humans. We are also feeling.
Yes, that is shame. And shame stays in existence through silence, secrecy, and judgment. It just keeps perpetuating. And there's one thing that can heal shame. Do you know what that is? Empathy.
Empathy.
Empathy. So writing it down, reading it, being kind to ourselves, saying, I need some help with this. This is over my head. Who can I speak to that can help me with this? Who can I be vulnerable with in order to receive that empathy that can help me from staying or self-shaming myself? And then we have to be careful. Am I self-shaming? Oh, it's my fault. I'm the bad one. I'm wrong. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's my fault. If someone is always blaming us and we're always taking the blame, not healthy.
Yes.
Not healthy.
Empathy.
Yeah. Am I always
Self-empathy.
saying I'm sorry?
Yeah, self-empathy, because you nail it, because we may be empathetic towards others and willing to help others, even when we are going through so many things, but we are still going there and helping and have the best empathy, probably because we understand the pain that they might be going through.
Yes.
We ourselves are unable to apply what we what we are suggested.
Reaching out, and also learning to be kind to ourselves.
Yes.
Learning to be kind to myself by expressing myself on a piece of paper. Learning to be kind to myself by reaching out for support. Learning to be kind to myself, just like not always apologizing for everything, not always taking the blame for everything. That is very unhealthy, and that is a very subtle form of violence. You know, if someone blames you and you take it, violence all the time. Blaming you and you take it, and then we're actually perpetuating it because we're allowing that person to be violent to us. And they don't.
And to think that sometimes you keep that, you blame yourself in order to keep peace.
Well, in order to keep peace, and you do think it is my fault. Something's wrong with me. I'm not perfect, you know? Yeah. And to keep peace, but is there any peace inside of me? No. I'm keeping this external peace, but when I hold all that shame and pain inside, I get stomach aches, I might get headaches, I might not be able to sleep. Later on in my life, I'm going to have physical manifestations of all of that pain I've held inside. When we don't listen to the emotions, it gets stored in the body, because the body cannot lie, and it will not lie. And your body will tell you, hey, you're in pain, do something. And we might go to the doctor and think it's physical pain, and it may have manifested physically now, but it could have started from emotional pain.
And the importance of learning to name the feelings.
Yes, naming our emotions. Yes,
and
honoring them. They're telling us something. Yes.
Yes.
Beautiful.
Prabhu, thank you very much.
Yeah.
You are busy, and from here you're going to go and give class, and we are so thankful for all the classes. I have attended many of your classes. I read 2 of your books, and they have helped me tremendously. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. And again, thank you for giving us this time in such a short notice. And again, that's only possible because you have truly such a care and disposition. Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.